Hi, my name is Roserbie Theoc, and welcome to Dear Diaries Wife School. I told you guys how wife school came about, but I didn't tell you why wife school is important. One of the things that is most important, I would say, in our daily walk is to choose the side of God, is to choose what God desires, and to understand and know that His original design and plan for our lives is the best plan. That plan that God had concerning marriage included a two-parent home. It included a wife and a husband, a man and a woman. And He joined these two people to become one, to partner up together to subdue, replenish, and multiply the earth. And so there's a partnership. There's roles that were given. And even as I'm saying this right now, God has given me an illustration of a ship, a vehicle, a car, a plane. Can you imagine this vehicle that God has given you having two steering wheels? It won't work unless you're moving together the same side. But what if you're turning the opposite way of one another? And God gave me this illustration because He gave each of us a role. And our husbands symbolically represents Christ. Christ is always at the helm of the ship. He's always at the steering wheel. And so should our husband. And that's why he leads. We cannot have two captains. For me personally, I think our role is symbolic to Holy Spirit's role. When you think about Holy Spirit has all power. Holy Spirit is so powerful that Jesus came into the earth as God and couldn't do anything without Holy Spirit. Do you understand that you don't lose any power? You are so powerful. Holy Spirit empowers us. Holy Spirit empowered Jesus, who was God in the flesh, to save us, to rise and be risen from the dead. The reason for wife school is because we need to go back to the original design of God for kingdom marriages. We need it for many reasons. God does a lot of things that touches a lot of areas all at the same time. If you know a lot about God, if you know anything about God, even when you read the stories, everything, even the people that came together, they came together for a reason. All the stories are about Jesus. Everything came together to tell the story of Jesus. And God is still the same God. So when He tells you to do something, when He asks you to be a certain way, when He asks you to let go of the offense, to forgive again and again and again and again and again and again and again, He says it for a reason. His reasons are dimensional. His reasons are generational. Look at the children of today, the confusion. It all had a domino effect to where we are today. So when God is trying to build something, it is because there is going to be a domino effect to rebuilding, to restoring. And so the reason for wife school, you may think, well, what's that got to do with this and what's that got to do with that? It has everything. Everything starts in the home first. Everything starts in you first. So when your children are growing up and they're seeing the original design that God has made, and why do we need the original design? Because God made us. God made us. God knows the earth. God knows the infiltration of the demonic realm. God knows what can be used to disrupt his design. God knows every way that the enemy can come to steal, kill, and destroy. So when he asks you to do something, when he says, hey, I want you to go back to the original design that I have for you, for being a wife, for marriage, it is because he's trying to save a generation, not a generation. He's trying to save generations. He's trying to save you. He's trying to give you the best of the best. And it's not just for you, it's for everyone. And so the reason for wife school is not just for you to have the marriage that God promised, but it's to save your children and your children's children and their children and their children. It's so that we can be able to do what he commanded us to do at the beginning from Adam and Eve. Subdue the earth, replenish the earth, multiply, so that we can do that. And when your children are confused and they're not doing the things that God has called us, we will lose generations. And it's all tied together. The enemy is coming after your children at a young age because that is the perfect time for development of the mind, of their identity, of who they are. When you are not being who God called you to be, when the home is not the way God desires it to be, that in itself is an example that your child is growing to develop into understanding how life is supposed to be. But when you are doing things the way God has asked you to do it, when you are in your role, your daughter can look at herself and identify herself with you because you are where you're supposed to be. When your son can see his father in his role, doing the things that he's supposed to do, behaving the way he's supposed to behave, your son can identify himself and say, hey, this is who I am. And when you work together, your children will grow up with an example and understanding as they're developing and growing the dynamics between a man and a woman and how it works. And it's beautiful when it's in the original design of God. So even when you're not teaching, you're teaching, and you're a demonstration of who they are and what it's supposed to look like. And so that's why wife school is important, so that you can empower the people that you love to be who God called them to be. That is your superpower.